For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.
I guess we're on, Franko.
We are, mate. We're on. We're live.
We're live. Welcome to the ET Stand, the Cronulla Sharks fans podcast that lets its talking, I guess, do the football. We're in all the usual good places: Spotify, Apple Pods, Facebook, and YouTube Live. Unfortunately, guys, the Sharks have lost again in a preliminary final. My heart's broken. Some valiant moments, some fun moments, some moments we were believing, geez, the Sharks fans that were down in Melbourne, they were loud in voice, including me. I've lost my voice. I'm a bit spent. So, guys, we'll go through your comments. We'll get Franko's instant reaction in the second of the match. I'll talk about what the vibe and the energy was like down at Double A, my park. Geez, they're frustrating the Storm, guys. We've got our best comment competition still going, so get your comments in there. We'll go through together, Sharks fans, like we always do. Yeah, it's just a hard take, isn't it, Franko? And what's your initial reaction to the Sharks defeat at the hand of the Storm in the prelim final?
Yeah, look, we were always up against it, against Melbourne, down in Melbourne. There was a lot of positive talk amongst us, amongst our fans. Even the media started to turn the corner and talk us up. But it was always going to be a tough match to win. I think we all kind of wanted to believe, as we always do, but yeah, it's just, we knew if we had that same performance against Canberra or the Roosters against the Melbourne Storm that we were going to struggle. They're the best attacking team in the comp. They were going to score if given the same opportunities, and they did. They were given those opportunities, especially in the first half, where their tries came off the back of either errors or ill discipline. And that's not to say that we weren't good with the ball, because we had pretty high completion rate. We're in the 87%, right? Normally that wins you a game, 87% possession. Completion. I mean, Klein kind of blew the pee out of the whistle there, which I think kind of disrupted us a little bit. But yeah, a couple of ill-disciplined moments there that got them an opportunity, and they took it. They were able to score on both occasions that we sort of gave them the opportunity in the first half. But really, the second half defense was great, and if you wanted to look holistically, we've got to say we're proud of our defense of what we did there. They could have really put a score on us there, and the boys scrambled and did their best to try and minimize the damage. I just think, yeah, it was a bit of an avalanche that was too much in the end.
Yeah, but the first two Storm tries, Franko, and apologies everyone for my technical difficulties. I'm in a personal hotspot in the middle of nowhere near Amy Park, so if I do drop out, please support Franko and keep him company, because I worry that I'm not going to be able to. We still were better at holding out the Raiders and the Roosters on penalties in previous weeks, and this week I felt we just gave in. We let tries in too easily, I thought, early on. But boy, I just think, yeah.
Just to just to let you know what you probably didn't hear when you dropped off was that Melbourne are the best attacking team in the comp. And while we could hold out the Raiders and we could hold out the Roosters, it's a different story holding out Melbourne. And I think we did well considering the amount of possession we gave them and the amount of opportunities they did have on our line, especially that second half. But just that first half, Brayley bungled that pass.
Nico dropped it
there. No, just right off the bat, right? We were on their line. Everyone was full of energy. We dropped the ball. They then go down our end and score. Basically, the next set. They go down, questionable forward pass, tackle us in goal, get the ball back.
Look forward at the ground.
Looked forward on TV too. And then they score, right? So the field position and possession just sort of mounted up from that one error right at the beginning. I know last year we talked about Kennedy dropping the ball from the kickoff, right, and putting us under pressure from the beginning. Not quite the same scenario, but in the end, very similar results, right? We gave them about 15 minutes of possession without us getting the ball and them scoring in that time. So it was unfortunate, and as I said, it was uncharacteristic, but we did have a few of those moments throughout the game where we were disjointed and we weren't all playing to the same rule book or playbook. Sorry, it was something that.
Oh no, Franko, we weren't all playing to the same rule book either.
Yeah,
I just think there's just some weird cloud over Klein and his refereeing. I just thought that things are a bit tough on us tonight, and I know we talked to Stormy Daniels, a Storm guy. And good teams can overcome that, but boy, it felt like we just weren't copping the calls, and I don't think we ever get the calls. Was that how it felt on TV?
Look, maybe we ask our commenters just to tell us what they thought. I actually thought for a little while there we were getting the rub of the green. There was a few calls that I was worried that we were getting because it meant that Melbourne were going to also get those same calls. And there was a couple that didn't get called, like the late shot on Hughes from Wilton. I was expecting them to blow a penalty out of that one, and nothing got called. So look, I don't think he had a good game, the ref, but I don't think it was a scenario where we got dudded by the ref. If anything, and the commentators mentioned this in the call on Fox, and I kind of agree with the sentiment in that for the number of penalties that were blown, which were plenty, we've got 18 penalties. It didn't feel like a stop-start game. Like it was still pretty fast, pretty intense.
Yeah.
But you've got to imagine that.
Well, there were very few errors.
There were also a few errors, yeah. But based on, well, not in terms of the amount of like we still had 87% completion, right? So we were doing really good, and Melbourne were up there as well in the high 80s. What I think is, and where I'm heading with this, is against the Roosters and against Canberra, we came back strong at the back end of both halves. So clearly we had the endurance and the fitness to put up with whatever happened in the game and then come home strong and get the victory. Now, obviously, again, Melbourne's a better team than those two, probably fitter, probably well drilled. But that, if we're going to say that that's a tactical advantage, or if that's a skill set that we've got to use against our opposition, I feel that was nullified by the number of penalties that were blown with the stop starts, the resets. That gave
The long, yeah, that's probably fair. Now, Franco, I can't see all of the comments, so you'll have to run through the comments. So, gang, get it in the comments. What do you think? Did the ref dud us? Is there a cloud that hangers over Klein? Or, look, I don't think we were good enough, but certainly we'll also touch on what do we think of Will Kennedy and being caught in the line. I know my brother hates the trend of the fullbacks going in the line, but Franco, why don't you hit through? Let's hit through all the comments. Let's see what everyone thinks. So keep us company, guys. Tell us what you thought of the match, and let's go from there.
Shauno was on early commenting. He was here at half time saying we need to come out harder than steal and score first points. Still have Nicker in the bank, hoping his injection will boost us enough and take the game. Well, his injection did come in and was impressive
Helpful.
for the short stint. For the short stint he had, he racked up the meters.
And almost scored.
And almost scored. Was stinging in defence. I'm sure we'll come to some comments about the no try and the high tackle and what that meant. But yeah, it's sorry, Shauno, mate. Future you is not going to be happy.
Wasn't our night.
James Munro says our halves were shocking tonight.
They weren't shocking. They just weren't that good, Franco.
Correct. That's exactly right. They were not as good as the Melbourne halves by a mile. Trindle's kicking was great. Nico's defence was great. And that held us in good stead the last month of footy. They were just too slow. They were just too slow. And what I was talking about earlier about not being on the same playbook, we had guys running wrong lines. We had people running in front of defenders.
With Trindle.
Weird Shepherd with Trindle. We just looked disjointed. There was no one following the ball carrier.
It comes back to the same stuff, Franco. They don't have the moves.
They
don't have those. They don't have the shapes and the plays.
Yeah, we do opportunistic well because that's what we've got. We don't have any set plays. We don't have any. At least it doesn't appear to have anything that we know. If we get on 30-meter line from middle of the field in 3 sets, we're going to be in the corner, right? We don't seem to have anything like that, and I know that's not true. I'm sure we do have plenty of moves, but in practice,
but there's no peaky scrum-based try, Franco, with this team. That doesn't exist.
The trick play, yeah.
No, the trick play or even the Ben Barber, that we just don't have that. So I just hope that, and I guess we'll start thinking and talking about next year. Just hope that the coach they get in can help them with the attack a little bit. Let's keep written through these comments, guys. Get your comments in.
Says the Hughes head high penalty was rubbish, and that's being polite. It was, especially after what happened in the Canberra game, right? With Starling's head high on Hazelton. Both were head clashes. Yeah. If anything, Trindle's was less because he was both feet firmly planted on the ground. He was bending. Starling had jumped. And Hughes jumped and landed on Trindle's head. So that was
tough. And that 2 points then really hurt.
And you know what? You gave Klein a hard time. He called it as he saw it, and if we're complaining about it, we're saying he got it right and the bunker that got it wrong. So
that's true.
It was a rubbish call. Absolutely agree with you there, Shauno. 2.0 says we need to stop being so loyal. Kennedy and Ramian need to go. We'll cover that a bit later.
Let's chat on. No, let's chat on. Do you want to chat on that now, Franco?
If you want, we got a bucket load of comments, but sure.
Let's chat on it now. We'll get through all the comments. I'm here forever.
Okay, so the comment for everyone again was, let's stop being loyal. And in 2.0's opinion, Kennedy and Ramian need to go.
Well, Kennedy's off contract, isn't he?
Kennedy is now technically unemployed.
So he could go sign with anyone. He could go sign with the new rugby union team.
Yep.
So if Kennedy was not in that team tonight, what's the Shark reshuffle look like? And who plays where? Is it Ronaldo at fullback with Stone Street on the wing? Is that what we do? Or Katoa?
Well,
in a fully fit team, that's what we do tonight.
In a fully fit team, it's Ison. he was re-signed for 2 years, so he's obviously in the plans for the
in the
future.
mix.
Obviously, he did his ACL early on in the season, so he's out, and probably you'd argue that injury and Dykes' injury, his ACL as well, that probably put a spanner in the plans of the coaching staff and Darren Mooney, where they probably would have played them off against each other and tried to work out who would have been our fullback going forward, maybe giving them a few games or seeing how they performed in New South Wales Cup. Now we've got no idea how they're going to go. They're coming a year off an ACL.
Yeah.
We've spoken about maybe trying to sign Chevy Stewart because he's on the outer at the Raiders, an ex-Sharks junior, very talented, highly spoken about. I would love to see him back at the club. But with all three of those options, and we talk about Taj Ford, right? He's looking really good, even though he's a half in New South Wales Cup at the Jets. He was killing it, stepping up a grade, playing fullback there, out of position. So all of those options are all good. They all have potential, but they're all rookies. And you know what? Talent is one thing, and not everyone progresses at the same rate. But if you think about any rookie that aren't dominating their age group, they're going to take a year or two to
Or
get
maybe
where you
not
want
even
them
be
to
good
be,
enough.
or maybe not even get there.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if we're talking that our window is open now, which arguably some people have been
It
saying
is.
this is it now. We've been in the top four. We're in the top 8. We're sort of entrenched at the top here. If this is our window, do we swap out a spine player for a rookie? And that it could work, right? It could very well work, but it's also a gamble. And it's not our careers on the line to make that call. I'm a big fan of juniors and seeing them have a crack and get a chance and opportunity. But Kennedy is very safe, very dependable, and that might be all the coaching staff need from him. I don't think
Well,
we
that's
lost
true.
today because of Kennedy.
But we didn't win because of Kennedy, Franco.
That's correct. That's correct. But
So
that's not his fault.
we didn't. Isn't it though? So the problem,
No.
the thinking for the thinking for the Sharks, and I think you're right. But do the Sharks want to be a team that finishes in the prelim final every single year and has a consistent team and has a bunch of B+ players like Nico Hines B+, Will Kennedy's B+, Brayley's probably A- in his position, or do you want to take a big swing? And so if you take a big swing, then you're blooding a rookie, then you're banking on the fact that Metcalf will come good, for example, and you're prepared to run that risk. And the problem the Sharks have, and the coaching staff will be nervous with this, is they don't want to run the risk of finishing 12th or 14th if they get it wrong. Because if you get it wrong, you can end up out in the wilderness for a whole bunch of years. And the Sharkies don't want to do that. So I can understand the rationale behind sticking with Will Kennedy. However, at the moment, it looks like they don't have enough money for Will Kennedy as it is. I don't think we've got enough money on the cap for Will Kennedy. I think based on his asking price and the profile of how well the Sharks have done, I think a team snaps him up, or the English Super League. He's been our fullback for 6 years or so now. Like, he's been around a while, so I think we might have seen the last of Will Kennedy.
It's going to come down to if he gets an offer, right? He can have an asking price, but if no one else offers him a job, you're worth what you're getting paid, right? So he might come back to us and say, all right, well, I've got no other options, so sure, I'll re-sign for 1
play for
year and
less.
see what I'm like in another year's time, or see what opportunities there are.
That's fair. That's
Super
possible.
League. Super League is probably
I think Super League's
the better option for him. I don't think there's anyone in the NRL. He's just got to snag that 1 year, and then you've got the Bears, and then you've got PNG, and opportunities sort of start popping out of places. But yeah, he might get that 1 year, one cheap year. Salary cap is a concern. I don't think he's the scapegoat that a lot of people might consider. But if it comes down to salary cap as the only option, I think we can make savings elsewhere. 2.0 mentions Ramian. He would go in my book. I absolutely agree with Ramian to go. He's still under contract. Needs a big off
What's he got,
season.
1 or 2 years?
He's got another year left, so
So he's able to
he'll be with
negotiate
us
with other teams now,
as of November 1st.
as
Yeah,
of 1st of November.
correct.
So Ramian
So
could easily come out in the off season and tell us that this is his last season, or the Sharks could very well let him
Yep.
go. Now, interestingly enough, if they do let Ramian go, then that might free up money for them to pay Kennedy, which they may go and do. In which case, then you'd have to think that they're playing Chris Viola or Maureen Hiroti in the centres next season. Look, I know Ramian cops a bit of shit. None of those are a trade up, but Chris Viola has the potential to be more, or do you run the gauntlet and play Gabriel?
yeah, look, so I don't think Viola is the one. Yes, he got his games this year. But I think it'd probably be Gabriel would be the first man up outside of Hiroti. So Hiroti gets the go. And you then see how Gabriel goes. But for
All right, let's
mine,
move on to the next. Yeah.
apologies, Ramian, but yeah, he just wasn't up to scratch
Get it in the
tonight.
comments, guys. Is Ramian out? Is Ramian done with the Sharks? Are you happy for Ramian to go? Let us know and we'll tally that up later. All right, on to the next.
Abraha says, whenever Hines plays bad, Sharks always lose. And as I said before, he had form from the game against the Dolphins, and now his poor form is showed again. He then also says Will Kennedy was man of the match for Melbourne as well. And then follows that up with Sione Katoa was the best player for the Sharks.
Sione Katoa's try scoring was quality, Franko, wasn't it? Franko,
Was.
if you remember the Panthers prelim final from last year, Sione Katoa delivered arguably the best ever Sharks finals try. Just absolutely brilliant from him the way he finished. And again, he did it for us again, Sione Katoa. So you can see, look, there's no bad players in the Sharks. We came against a tough team. Like they played well. I think the week off certainly helped them, and I think the Friday turnaround did as well. But back to Sione Katoa. He was the best player on the field. Will Kennedy, man of the match for Melbourne. Maybe that's a bit tough. Let's chat on Hines a little bit more. Look, what was it? The first try was a Hines to Kennedy to out to Katoa pass, wasn't it? So he was involved. He had some moments.
Yeah, I mean, it was an involvement. It wasn't an assist. So Kennedy got around.
Kennedy was the pass. Kennedy was the pass.
It was a dropped ball that brought the defense up, and Kennedy was able to get behind the defenders and throw the ball out to Katoa. Look, I agree. I don't think Hines had a strong game. Defensively, he was really good. He had a lot of intent and focus, but as I said earlier, our halves just don't have the speed, right? We don't have the pace to threaten the line the way we saw Munster and Hughes do tonight. So if we're not using our running game or, side steps or taking the line on individually and being a threat there, it means we need options around our playmakers, and we haven't got the structure or the plays to spread out the defense to give those playmakers time to walk through a defensive line, right? And that's the problem that we've got there. We saw the try against the Raiders. We know if there's a half break available, they've got that in them. But for what we've been doing, standing stop or broken play in the middle of the field, they don't have that, right?
No. Well, the problem is they don't have the physical attributes, Franko. So
yeah,
here's the thought for you. What have the Sharks halves got that is just out and out X factor that's just better than someone else in the NRL, any of the halves? Like Burton's got the kicking game, and Jerome Hughes has got the running game, and Fogarty's got that torpedo thing, and Munster's fast and got those.
Trindle's got the kicking game.
It's an accurate kicking game. It's not exactly a long.
No, he's got a long boot. He's got a high boot. He's got a few
He's not Matt
different
Burton.
kicks. He's close though. He's close. No one's Matt Burton, but he's close. I think he's probably on the wrong side of the field, but he's got a good kicking game. Now,
that one where Trindle got tackled, Franko, and you knew that Nico was about to kick it. You're like, oh no, Nico's going to kick it on the last tackle, and it was a poor kick. You just,
yeah.
Nico, no.
And look, we've spoken about supporting Nico and being here for Nico. When we win,
And we love you, Nico.
He's a world beater, and when we lose, he's the whipping boy. And it's unfortunate, but that's part of the role that he's got by being the 7, being the face of the team, putting himself out there with comments.
Player.
$1 million player. It's all there. But we talk about dropping Kennedy and Ramian. It doesn't start with them. It starts from the middle, and he's $1 million player. If we're struggling for salary cap, well, if we think Trindle's good enough to hold up the team, then we roll the dice on one of our junior halves coming through and give them a go. We saw
shopping around to the Bears, Franko. Boy, they're not going to do that.
Look, obviously, no, they're not going to do that. Obviously, I'm just throwing up argument for argument's sake.
Hypotheticals. Yeah, I know.
Hypotheticals, but like if we're talking about salary cap, we're talking about, we clearly there's going to be people on social media tonight and through the weekend who are going to blast Nico for having a poor game, and you're only as good as your last game. If we need to save money, like we saw last year and even this year, our halves pairing with Atkinson comes up trumps. We win when whichever half you pick
doesn't come up trumps.
Whichever half you pick.
We just don't have a massive drop off, which tells you that look, all rugby league players are good, but you've got to get them at the right price. And so I worry that Trindle's also at the wrong price. It's just too much. And I think for the St. George Illawarra Dragons, they're now going to play Daniel Atkinson too much. You've got to bring these guys up and get them on the right bucks. But all right, let's keep going through. What else have we got here comments-wise, Franko? Who's up next?
Peter Bissett says, I came here to mourn with my brethren Sharkies. Yeah, we lost to the Plastic Fantastic, and the reffing was poor, but we had our chances, and it's a same old game plan. Thank heavens for 2016. And it's that same old pain, sorry. Okay, we've got
hey, Franko, it just reminds you how special 2016 was, nights like this, and how hard these matches are to win. So
Random Traveller says, we look tired and defence was not really there 1 week too much. Look, I think it was just the opposition, mate. I think the defence was there. We did look tired, I agree. But I think that was just we were up against a quicker team. And then we sort of go from there. Abara says, it would be funny if the Panthers beat them again in the grand final. Look, I'm sure everyone wanted the Sharks to win tonight because no one wants to see Panthers Melbourne grand final. Gosh, that's terrible. Scott Buckley says that was the worst Sharks performance in recent memory. I don't know, mate. The game against the Dragons was pretty poor.
That was bad.
Yeah, that was really bad. We stood up in defence. Completions were high. We took it to the Melbourne Storm, who are an awesome team, who had plenty of opportunities. And look, let's say Nico opts to take the kick at the end instead of declining that kick. We only lose that game by 6 points, right? So.
Why did you decline the kick?
Yeah, we declined the kick at the end.
Why?
The game was over. You're not gonna win. It means you just have to stand there and cop abuse while you line it up and everyone's cheering around you and celebrating the win. Why do that to yourself?
Well, I was wondering whether he got the kick because I'd left and I was thinking, if he gets the kick from this sideline kick, then we sit there saying that the difference is Will Kennedy up in the line. But look, I think that's the right call by Nico not taking the kick. And I actually think it hurt us. Nico has been such a good goal kicker, and you can't blame Nico for the goal kicking. But if one of those sideline conversions goes in, the psyche of the match and the energy around it, and the taking the two when you're down by 8, you're down by 6, so you don't take the two because you're within one try, so then you keep going. It just changes the energy around it. And he was so close to getting those kicks. So I think if you play that match 10 times again, I think the Sharks can maybe win 2 or 3 times out of 10. But it was the Storm were better on the night. And Pete Bissett says, here we go. I can see the comments now. Top 4 mattered that game was in Sydney. Different result. It certainly would have helped us.
Shauno says Talakai was an absolute tackling machine and saved the game a few times single-handedly. He was really good.
Is there any doubt now Talakai is our top player, Franko? I thought he was absolutely terrific tonight. And I had said to the Sharks fantasy, I had a mate of mine with me who doesn't watch too much Sharks. I said, watch this Talakai. And he did make a big difference. Was that the impression you got at the match as well?
It was obvious. Yeah, he was immense. There was a couple of moments there. I don't know if it was his sore ankle getting to him. There was a couple of moments where he was laying in the back behind the tackle, and really wanted to see him sort of get up and try and get back in that defensive line. But look, it didn't cost us him sort of getting slow back to the defensive line. If that's what it took for him to get his energy back and load up for the next defensive play or attacking play, then so be it. But he was pretty immense. He really made a good impact when he came on, and his second stint as well. I can only imagine that Rudolph going off for the HIA, and then Burns going off for the HIA, and then Kafusi going off for a HIA, kind of through the coaching subs, the way they handled the bench was different. And
were they penalised subs on Melbourne, so we got free interchanges, or what happened with them?
No, they weren't. They were just HIA. So
that hurts. That hurts a lot.
So yeah. So anyway, I'm sure I think it was Hamlin Ueli came on for Rudolph. So that was not his usual stint or his usual time. The Burns coming off was a bit weird. So that didn't help. But yeah, Talakai was excellent. Mr. Dave does say it was cringe not to kick the final conversion. And he also says Storm slowed the ruck all first half.
Oh, didn't they?
A few forward passes not called, but we weren't fit enough and we had players too tired near the end of the first half. They were slowing the ruck, and that is part of, I guess, the reason why Klein was blowing the penalties. But also those forward passes, I reckon there was half a dozen that weren't called from Storm, and that was crazy. So I agree, that was awful. Now here we go. Demini says we need one big name signing next season. Unfortunately, Demini, as Boldo alluded to, we don't have the salary cap. We may need to rely on shuffling of the deck chairs. We heard rumours of shopping Hamlin Ueli around. There was rumours of Talakai around, which we all hope are unfounded. It's not uncommon for a club to move players on and free up cap space that way. But as it stands, as a talking point today, we don't really have a lot to sign a big name signing. The best we can hope is that we've got someone in our squad
that just comes good
through and comes good. Yep. Or we mentioned Chevy Stewart. We sign him up and he's on a rookie contract, and he comes through and he's 10 times the player Kennedy is, right? That's what we've got to hope for, I guess, at this stage. Mr. Dave says Fox Sports commentators favouring Melbourne didn't make it fun. That also is not surprising, mate. We've got reunification saying saw Boldo's face at halftime and we looked flat.
Did I get caught on TV at halftime? Did I, Franko?
You did.
Oh, did I? Oh, no. I was thinking to
Ashley
myself,
Williams.
please don't show me at halftime. Oh, no. Sorry, guys. But we all knew how it was going to end.
Yep. Ashley Williams says forward pass the first try to Melbourne. How does the clown not pick it up? Yeah, as I just mentioned, there's a fair few forward passes that I feel were lost. Reunification then says we were poor with our captain's challenges. Could have changed the momentum at some stages. Look, I'm not too sure where we could have challenged. I definitely think that challenging for the believed
wrong.
strip on AFB
They were
was
desperate
wrong.
by that point, Franco. They were hoping.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think you'll find that the Sharks were keeping their challenge up their sleeve for right at the end. And you could see them. There was one where I can't remember which one it was specifically, but Brayley was really thinking about it. And then there was another one where I think he was waved away where he wasn't allowed to challenge, and I think perhaps he wanted to. I'll have to go back and watch it the next day. Maybe someone can clarify that for us in the comments if there was one where he wasn't allowed to challenge. But I think they were holding him back. But we've just
Can't remember.
look, Franco. Yeah, Franco came up with it. This is Franco's bit. Don't challenge subjective moments because you can argue that they were raking the ball off into Blake, and they were because they've got their hands around the ball, and what they do is they get their hand around the ball, and then they're hoping that Fanua Blake's momentum and the way he's going to move is going to end up raking it, and they're not going to end up getting a rake. It's a little bit underhanded, but that's the problem with the rugby league rules, isn't it? So, but yes, captain's challenge continues to be a thing.
Correct. Also, probably worth mentioning that that's Brayley's first loss as captain of the Sharks. All right. Mr. Dave says Storm are just a super fit team. They absolutely are. Jimmy Russell says Kennedy being up in the defensive line for the Pappenhausen try definitely didn't help either. If he was defending where he should have been, they probably don't make that play. Look, you've got to say, Jimmy, that he was defending where he should have been, and that's maybe the problem. It's definitely a scenario where it's coached. We've been told to defend in the line, gives us an extra man there, and we're not the only team that does that. I would like to see him jump into a spot where he's maybe stepping back at that point in time, but it was still early in the tackle count. But the fact that it was close enough to our line, yeah, I would have said it's not a great play. But we saw it happen against the Raiders. They used it against us there as well. Sorry, not the Raiders, the Roosters, with Walker kicking through the line, knowing that Kennedy was up in the defensive line. It's not on Kennedy. It's on the coaches. If you really want to get angry at that, that's where they want him to defend. Super chat.
We got a super chat, Franco.
Super chat. SJD. $19.67.
Very
he says,
appropriate number, isn't it?
It's a very appropriate number. I like it, SJD. Thank you all for your hard work, insights, and fun this year. See you all next year. Yep. Thank you very much, SJD. Really appreciate your listening, your patronage, and your comments.
Just want to say, SJD, you are an absolute gentleman, and it is so good to have legends like you part of the show. So, mate, chin up. We'll be back again.
And then we've got another.
We got another one.
They're like the Sharkies. When we score a try, we score them in bunches.
All going towards the fund.
Rob gives us $14.99. Thank you very much, Rob. Really appreciate that. He says, do we think that the NRL is adding teams at pace to split the comp into two leagues, where every team in each league plays home and away to every team in the league, promotion and relegation? Boldo. I think Boldo has a a theory on this one, Rob. To be fair, I'll let him have his say. Take it away, mate.
Well, Rob, just such a learned question from you. So thank you for your contribution to the ET Stand Fund. Look, it's an interesting. There's a few concepts that I like. I like the idea of conferences, and I like the idea of a Sydney conference and an out of Sydney conference. Now, there's one thing that would immediately do. First thing, it would drive up revenues in a couple of ways. If the Sharks get to play St George Illawarra twice in a season, the Eels, the Bulldogs, the Roosters, maybe not the Roosters, Manly, etc., twice in a season, that would certainly help. Now, the other thing that does, if the Sydney teams are just playing each other, it also reduces the cost of the travel because the interstate teams are going to travel anyway. So then the Sydney teams don't have to travel as much. So you're actually not burning as much money in rugby league. So I like the idea of the conference system. They're not going to do promotion and relegation because that's not a concept that Australians can get behind. And the problem with that is that there's not enough teams, and you'll have Newtown Jets and Wentworthville and all sorts of other teams coming into it. But I really like the idea. One of the problems with the competition, to Rob's point, is the integrity of it. And we saw the Canterbury Bulldogs leading early and then fading away at the end. And so there's all this stuff around the luck of the draw and all that sort of stuff. So I like the idea of, this is what I would run with it if I was Volandis. I would run two divisions of 10 teams each. Each team plays each other twice. So you have 18 matches from that. And then the teams in the other conference, you play half of those teams once. So therefore you have 18 matches plus 5 matches, which makes 23. And I think reducing the number of matches, but having more teams also prolongs the career of the players. So what you want to do is protect the players a little bit more and not have them get as much, not get as many injuries. The season's too long. The top eight's pretty much decided by round 22, 23 anyway. I don't think you get much value for that. And then what you do is if you actually have conferences, then you'll always have an in-Sydney team playing in the grand final versus an out-of-Sydney team, which would also be a lot of fun. That's how I would like to run it. I think that would be really good. But the promotion and relegation, the problem is that it'll be the same as the English Premier League, where the clubs that come up won't have the access to the same number of players, and we won't be able to do it, Rob. So sadly, there's just not the breadth of players in rugby league for us to do it, to have promotion and relegation. That would be great. But thank you for your donation, and all of the donations are going to go into how we make the ET stand bigger and better next year. Isn't that right, Franko? We got some plans, and sadly, our plans that were in our mind that we weren't allowed to think about or talk about or plan for next week for the Sharks in the grand final aren't getting into it. So yeah, there we go.
Save that for next time.
For next year. I've just put the link in. If you want to join us on the show, you can do that. The link for the super chats or donations, guys. We're not in the business of asking for donations or super chats. But if you want any money that ever gets donated to us goes back in to help us pay for stuff. So we're certainly not here begging for super chats. We just want to give you guys an outlet and a place for us to all share what it's like to be a Sharks fan. And, you know, I sit there coming home from the match thinking, oh, I'm looking forward to chatting to Franko and chatting to all of you guys. So thanks for being there for us. You're all an absolute bunch of legends.
Absolutely not asking for super chats, but I'm about to put my email address up there. If you could just send me some bank account details and we'll get some money into my account there, that would be really helpful. All right, so we've got Rob, who did give us a super chat, so let's call this one out. He says, in a game like this, and a couple of decisions and a couple of mistakes is enough to lose it if we aren't dominating a game. Very true, Rob. Like I said, I thought we did well, but Melbourne Storm are just a cut above, and that was something that we noticed and experienced tonight, unfortunately. Chris here says he's a Roosters supporter, so impartial, Storm all over the Sharks in the ruck. Yeah.
Oh, weren't they? Good to see you, Chris. Good to see you, legend. Hey, Chris, can you put us in the comments? If the Roosters had gone out the way that the Sharks have gone out now, were you happy to have lost in week 1, or would you have rather gone on the roller coaster and made it all the way to the Route 3? In hindsight, which position were you better for? Hey, Stephen, we can see you in the green room. Give us a wave. We'll get you in about 60 seconds.
Brilliant. There's a few comments here about the head clash with Trindle and Hughes. Not many people are enjoying that one. Got to agree with them. JFP says, we were outclassed tonight. A few calls against us, but didn't turn up enough. Billy Burns showed ticker. Still back the boys. What a run. So I thought Billy Burns was excellent tonight. Statistically, it doesn't show some of the effort plays that he had in there. If we're talking if we're talking our stacked back row, I'm going to say that I thought Wilton had a poor game tonight.
He made one break though, didn't he?
He did, but I think it was defensively he was a bit of a weak link, and he just ran some wrong lines. Defensively, he didn't show up. He was wrong-footed a few times, pushed off. Still made a mountain of work, both in attack and defence. So again, the opposite to Burns. Statistically, he looked really good. But yeah, just watching, I think Wilton didn't have a crash hot game tonight, unfortunately, and uncharacteristically. It was obviously a night we needed everyone to be on their A game. But that's what it is.
Bring in Steve.
Hi, boys.
There he is. We can hear you,
G'day,
mate.
Steve.
G'day, Steve.
Hello, fellas.
Mate, long time viewer and listener, first time caller.
Not quite. No, I did call you guys from
Have you
Perth
called in before?
another time a few weeks ago.
Yeah, right. I must have been on that one.
Maybe a couple of months ago. Maybe you might not have been there, Boldo. But,
Yeah, right. Where'd you watch the game, man?
Mate, I've got a lot of mental stuff going on that if I watch a game with someone and we lose, I don't want to watch a game with that person again. If I watch a game with someone else and we lose, so I sat here and watched the game on my own.
I totally understand.
And it didn't make
the game on your own.
the bloody difference. But just sat at home here in Perth. Kids had my son jumping up and scoring tries in front of me while I'm trying to watch the game. So that was distracting all. But it was. You came in. I've joined this a bit late, so I don't know how much you guys have talked about the match so far. But I think leading into the game, I was probably a bit more confident than I felt last year. I felt the players had a bit more belief in them.
Yeah.
And they showed it out there. They weren't shocking out there tonight. They did give it a good crack, that's for sure. But there are a few key points like the immediate start of the game, and I've seen far too often Sharks fans will blame the referees for poor decisions and holding down and these sort of things. It's not the referee. You play to the referee. If the certainly be happy to give away a penalty because you're probably going to be able to hold them down for another second longer next time and next time and next time. Play them down, hold them down, give away a couple of penalties. And that's what Melbourne did. They were happy to give away a couple of penalties, knowing that the referee would not want to continue to give those penalties away to ruin the spectacle. And we don't do that. That's the gamesmanship, if you will, that we don't do. But, we stayed in there.
Steve. I think that's right. I think that's certainly right. What'd you make of the halves, mate? That's a big talking point for us.
Oh, mate, they were there. I think there's another theory I've got on Nico. We've seen him start running, in the last month and a half, something like the last 6 weeks. You feel like he's got a bit of an edge back on him, but it's going to take a lot more than those 6 weeks for the rest of the players around him to actually understand that he's doing that, and he needs someone to pass off to. He needs someone to run off, and it's just.
Yeah,
we didn't have enough time. We didn't have enough of Nico's running game for the rest of the team to get on board with that.
Yeah,
for them to be able for us to create the opportunities. Another thing for me tonight is like where were the offloads? Where was the throwing the ball around? We were just one up football far too often. The opportunity just to throw the ball around a little bit. I'm not talking crazy, but something a bit more unpredictable than a one-up, hit-up play.
We did it at the end, Steve, and scored a try.
Well, yeah, and you could say,
when
well,
that was
when the game was over, but I didn't see Melbourne trying to just let them walk that in. So yeah, you could say that, Franko, that once you spread, and we're the same. Once you get that disjointed play, that's when you catch teams off their guard. If all you're doing is hitting up to a solid defensive line that are moving up and back, They're set. That's their bread and butter in defence. You need to start,
especially with the
disrupting
size
that
of a
defensively.
Fanua Blake and Talakai, Stephen. I don't think you're wrong, and also just the explosive, breaking tackles ability of our wingers and our centres to back up. Maybe it was a touch conservative and just trying to professionally beat the Melbourne Storm in a match where they made very few errors. And so if it's a clinical team versus a clinical team, I just don't think the Sharks are going to out clinical team the Melbourne Storm. It's just going to be something tough for us.
I don't think you can say it any better than that, Boldo, for sure.
Yeah.
They are the clinics. I mean, the game, we were in there. Nico, it was Nico's knock on with what, about 13 left? With still
that was we're down by 6 at that point.
Yeah, down by 6, mate. That was everything to play for. And I know, I can't remember which one of you don't
fourth
like to go
tackle.
for 2, but I like to go for 2. That put us within 2. Put us within a try. And
that was definitely right. That was definitely right to go for that one.
Yeah, no, that if that wasn't the kick in the guts, it was Fanua Blake's loss of possession. That was the ultimate kick in the guts, because that was a 5th tackle play as well. And again, I'm not going to beat those guys up for a mistake like that. It just happens. It was just a real shame that was our opportunity to get in there. But you do then ask those questions. When do you see someone like Munster just knock on like that? When do you see a player like in the prime play for them to get the club back in the match? It just doesn't happen. But like I say, I'm not going to beat Nico up. I think he goes all right. And back to the question, Franco, they did all right. I think another thing lacking from our halves, though, and so much we've seen in this final series, is when we struggle to get out of our our own half. We're kicking 5th tackle from our within 30, within 40. Why are we doing these punts that are up in the air, that sail in the air? Get the ball on a torpedo and just send it as far as you bloody can.
At a 45-degree angle.
Send it deep as hell. And it's okay. It's not as accurate as a punt, but who cares? We're not trying to catch the bloody thing. We're trying to go for territory, and you're not going to get territory from a drop punt. You're going to get a territory from your torpedoes. It's just little things like that frustrate me. I think I got a little bit. I got something for you, which most people I reckon would disagree with me. Brayley. Everyone's been enjoying Brayley, especially the second half.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, yep. All right, here we go.
What I would say where people have loved what he's been doing is he's running from dummy half. He's been doing that from when the markers haven't been square. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that's something a dummy half should just do. What makes a dummy half look even extra special is when he's got the players who are wise enough to see that he's not the only one that sees that opportunity. Where are the players next to him going, he's going to run right now, I'm going to run with him, and I'm going to get that
Melbourne
offload.
Storm at the end of the match.
Just like a Pappenhausen would, just like a Cameron Munster would. Where is the brains of the players around him? So look, I would say yes. And his tackle count is fantastic, Brayley. Look, I'm not saying he's bad. Far from it. I guess what I'm saying is doing what I probably expect of him, to seize those opportunities. And he's given those opportunities probably from a stronger forward pack than most of the teams in the competition have. It's just a shame he hasn't got the players around him to, think what he's thinking at the time. And sometimes I guess maybe he has to call them with him. But, I don't know. But call that controversial. But I was certainly not slow.
I thought you were coming out say. I thought you were going to come out and say Brayley's not any good. The Sharks fans have overrated him. Brayley out. He shouldn't be the captain anymore.
No, absolutely not. But, geez, weren't you scared in the lead-up when he was hobbling around?
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a big warning shot.
Was he hobbling?
Yeah, he hurt his ankle. So
Can I drink on screen?
Ah,
Sure can.
2.0 drinks and does stuff all the time, mate. Cheers to you. Well, while you're both taking a swig of your drink, look, I think that, but to your point around Brayley running, it's also what gets set up for Blake Brayley by the Fanua Blakes and Talakai's opening that up for him, where he's able to do that. And so, whilst it's great that he goes and runs, if the team's quality like the Melbourne Storm was, and it's not like he gets too many more opportunities, he wouldn't have run 5 times tonight. But he was very, very good, Brayley. But yeah, they
I
were
think
all
I,
just 7.5 out of 10, weren't they? Brayley was, other than Talakai and Katoa, I thought they were all 7.5 out of 10.
yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Steve, our whole team lacks that support structure when anyone runs, not just Brayley, right? Whether it's our halves or someone makes a break, there's no one there trailing. And if there's any legitimate knock on Kennedy that I will happily accept, is that he is not renowned for trailing up the middle of the field looking for that offload or looking to support run. He's an out the back player looking for the sweet play and good passing game. The reason why a lot of people are excited to get Ison into the team and see how he goes is because he is that center of the field trailing the ball kind of fullback. So,
But
yeah,
I can't cop that, Franco.
Mm-hmm.
What? Just do it. It's not a mind thing. It's not a skill thing. It's just a do it thing. Just do it. Be there.
Yeah, but it's
So
also down to some of
either
the
he's not
coaching,
being
Steve.
coached, either he's coached
Yeah,
not
but we
to
don't.
be in that position, or just be there. I mean, surely, you'd have to think over the last 2 months where Brayley was doing those fantastic runs, or where AFB is actually making yardage, potential offload opportunity. Where was I just said before, where was the follow-up play? The question is, why was there no follow-up play? It's not a skill thing. It's not asking someone to kick a ball 50 meters and land it on a spot. That is a skill thing that not everyone can do, but everyone can be there as a backup player. You just have to be there.
That's just.
I might
No,
argue,
there's a bit of fitness with that. There's fitness and also reading the
so
play.
I might
Terry
argue
Lamb was
that
brilliant at it.
I might argue that skill might not be the right word, although there is a skill to it. But as Boldo just mentioned, there is a lot of fitness to it. So you need to be fit enough to do it. Because in addition to supporting the ball carrier, you are thinking about the next play, where the team wants to get to on the field, where, you know, who is outside you, who you've got to get the ball to. So if you're thinking about all of this other stuff, you're not thinking about, oh, look, oh my gosh, someone's just made a break or a half break and they've gone for a dart and I'm flat-footed and I can't catch them, right? Or my job is to do a couple of really hard carries and that's what I'm focusing on, not I've done a hard carry, I'm now conserving energy to then do my next hard carry. Oh, someone's made a run, I should now try and make a run, which means I'm not available for my next carry. So there's nuances there, but I do agree with you, Steve. It is infuriating whenever we see someone go for a run and there's no one there to support them, because what that also does, whether they get the ball or not, that gives the defensive a couple of options in where to go, who to tackle. So it opens up in front of the ball carrier as well, right? So yeah, it's just something we don't quite do as much at the moment.
When do you think was Kennedy's best? When was Kennedy playing his best for the Sharks?
His best game was against Manly, but that's
this year?
sort of.
No, I'm talking about
this year. This year.
Yep.
He has
forever.
Norway.
Yep, correct. He has year on year got better. I would challenge anyone to say that that's not the case. He might not be performing where you want him to be or as good as you want him to be. He might not be doing the things you want him to do, but each year he has had a knock on him that you don't do this, you don't do that. He'll go away for an off season and then come back and he's now doing that thing. And then people will say, well, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And that'll be a deficiency in his game. and then he'll go away the off season, he'll work on that, and he'll come back and he'll have got that down pat. Year on year, he has got better, but that is slow. He doesn't seem to make much progression through a year, and some would argue that he went backwards this year. So look,
Steve, let's hear Steve's. I reckon Steve wants to take you on here and reckons, because I don't know, 2020.
I've got a big challenge to that, and I agree with what you say, Franco. Yes, he's improved on the points that he hasn't necessarily been good at. And yes, absolutely, year on year, there's been something in his game that he's done, but that's been to the detriment of what he was good at originally. If you go back to, 21, 22, do you remember when he was playing out the back ball, was spread the ball out the back, he was kicking his little grubber kicks, his little touches, everything was gorgeous. Everything he did was gorgeous. That was attacking.
He had a good attacking coach, Stephen.
That was
different coaching structure. Different coaching structure, Steve. Also, he had Moylan outside or inside him, and Moylan knew what to do, when to. Yeah, Moylan was the key to that structure, giving him space, giving him the room to move, giving him the options. Plus, we had a different attacking structure. Yeah, look, I would take that for sure. I would take that for sure. But he is a more complete package today. We just don't give him those opportunities anymore. We don't run those same plays.
No.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
All right, Steve. We'll let you jump off. Any last words from you? Thanks for coming in. Lynn, I could see you in there giving you a wave, Lynn. You've got 30 seconds, I reckon, till we bring you in. Steve, last word on that. Mate, just want to say thanks for
well done, fellas.
Well,
really good listening to you on the drive to work and stuff. So enjoy the off season and enjoy the Ashes. You watching the Ashes?
I will be.
As in the rugby league Ashes.
I probably.
Yep, I will be for sure.
Some big footy coming up.
I don't know if I could bring myself to. We'll see, Steve. I'll give it some thought.
Very good, boys. Have a good night.
See you, mate.
Excellent. Thank you, mate.
All right, Stephen Davis joining us. All right, let's get Lynn in, Franco. Look, I saw Lynn today there, so I'll let you lead the questioning. Yeah, I did see you a couple of times, so I'll let Franco. It was lovely to see you today, Lynn, and I thought the Sharks fans were in terrific form down at Black, White and Blue Lemonade. So, Franco, I'll let you take it away.
Lynn, are you there in Boldo's dodgy apartment? Is that what's going on there? You're in the same hotel?
No. I have my good friend here who lives in Richmond, and I'm staying in her house in a beautiful four-bedroom house in Richmond. So I'm in beautiful accommodations. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Better.
I might need to come down there, Lynn. My hotel's open, but no, they're lovely.
She doesn't look impressed, so I don't think it's going to happen. Before we even get to that, how good was the pink lemonade today? Just saying.
Well, you tell us, Lynn. These guys hear from me all the time, so tell us about it. What happened?
No, it was the vibe was great. It had a really good vibe to it, and what I liked the best was the Storm people coming to the door and going, "Yeah, no thanks," and turning around and leaving. That was great. And the walk down, all the lead up was fantastic. The game was less so. I did actually try and catch your eye, Boldo, when they took the two, but you were applauding, so I assumed that you were happy with that.
I'm always happy.
I've not been listening. I presume it's been discussed.
It hasn't yet. I've bit my tongue. Someone has mentioned that they thought it was good. Steve just previously did. There's been a couple of comments. We haven't discussed it. I'm sure it will be discussed.
But I can confirm he was applauding, so I think he was on board with it today. It was anything to do in the
certainly on board.
It was an arm wrestle. They had to do it. But so go ahead, Franco.
Look, when you're down by 8, you've got to take the 2 points, Franco.
Yeah, you have to.
You get within 6. You've got to.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
We obviously don't have to, but you should.
Look, I'm not saying it's the wrong. I'm not saying it's the wrong call. The fact of the matter is, we lost the game, so everything is going to be a hypothetical from this point. Taking the 2 didn't win us the game, and we don't know what would have happened had we not taken the 2. That said, we didn't get much opportunity down there into the field, and we were on their line, 10 out. If we'd have scored, then that's better than the 2 points. As Boldo always says, you don't always score, and we saw off the back of those 2 points, it was nullified by them getting their own penalty goal, and the whole thing was for naught.
Unravelled after that. Yeah.
Yep. So look, again, I can't say it was the wrong call. I'm just not sure it's the right call, and
That's fair.
it will forever be a hypothetical, right? In that scenario, we weren't able to win, and we weren't able to go, yep, that 2 points is what got us there. It certainly made the next 5-ish minutes a lot more exciting, knowing there was only one try in it. But in the end, I really felt that we had the running game at that moment. Fanua Blake had just come on the field. Nickera had just come on the field. They were full of energy. They were full of running. They were right on their try line. That was the time to strike. If I use sort of a Formula One analogy, right? You've just pitted. You've got new, fresh tires. You're the faster car coming up behind, looking for an opportunity to attack. If you are held behind a slower car and your tires wear, you no longer have that advantage anymore. You've lost what you've done. You can't undercut anymore. This is the kind of feeling I've got in this scenario where we had the new fresh players come off the bench. We were finally getting over the advantage line against Melbourne. We took the 2, and now we're down the back in our end of the field, and we didn't get back to their end zone, their red zone for the next 10 minutes, right? And by then, Nickera's lost his pep, AFB's lost his pep. We're just not as fast as what we were at that point in time. That's my thought.
That's a very
all right. Well, I'm not going to. I won't respond because you're wrong. But let's chat to Lynn. We'll pick that up later. Lynn, what else did you make of the experience coming down to Melbourne?
The experience of coming down to Melbourne's been great, except for the game. Look, I don't know what you've discussed because I was catching up with a lot of people, and then I was in the cab queue, and then I was in the cab explaining cricket to the cabbie. So I haven't listened to any of the discussion so far. What I was looking at was they kept chipping over the line. They broke it a couple of times, but did you notice how every time Will was up in the line, they chipped over his head? Has that been discussed?
It has.
We haven't talked about that.
Lynn,
A little bit.
Well, we've touched on it. So Will was in the line pretty much consistently all night and has been for the last few weeks. So it's not as though it's a deficiency
shock,
on Will. It's a coach thing. We've decided.
It's a trend in the NRL now, Franko.
Play by Melbourne.
It is.
To do what they
It is.
did. Yeah.
Edwards
trend in the
does
NRL now. I don't like it. So does Reece Walsh.
Tedesco does it for the Roosters. And you've just got to be on your game and ready to do that. But I think, if I'm going to be on the same page as Lynn, it's infuriating, right? You just want to be able to have a little bit more game awareness. If the idea is to be in the defensive line to get an extra number there, that's great. But surely in certain scenarios, you've got to realize where you are in the field and be like, right now is probably a time I should be hoofing it back.
Particularly when they had done it once and then they did it again.
Yeah.
Right? So dropping back might have been, but we could dissect the whole thing. My other question is, how come a head clash in a tackle was nothing to see here last week, but this week it's a big deal? Has that been discussed?
Because it's the Sharks, Lynn. We've got to talk about it. Don't you know where the Sharks are, Lynn? There's a hierarchy.
I'm trying to be positive. I actually had to talk loose off a ledge.
There's a hierarchy of all the different teams, right? And what happens is the Sharks are down here on the referee hierarchy, right? So we're ahead of the West Tigers on the referee hierarchy, right? We're ahead of the West Tigers. However, the Storm and these other teams just seem to get the favourable decisions. And my commentary was there was a bit of a cloud around it, but I just don't understand how it can be a penalty against Braden Trindle when the guy jumped off the ground, and so he was just going up to tackle him, and he. Like, what did you want Braden Trindle to do? The guy was literally jumping to catch the ball because it was a poor pass. And how can last week, to your point, how can last week not be a penalty? And this week it was. There was an accident. It wasn't careless. He was just tackling the guy. And I thought that was really, really tough on the Sharks. And that was the penalty where they took the 2, was it not, Franko, to get ahead by 8?
Yep.
Yeah,
Um,
it was.
and so, you know, to your argument on the two,
Oh, no,
Yeah,
it wasn't. Wasn't it the strip?
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right.
Trindle's
You're right.
strip
You're right.
on.
it was the
It was
strip.
about 2
Yeah, it
minutes
was the
later.
strip. Yeah, it was the strip.
Which
But
was
it was
clearly
in
a
the lead
strip.
up
I
to
mean,
that.
what
So,
was brain snap Trindle? What that was definitely clearly a strip. What was he thinking?
Yeah,
well, he
it
also
was.
head hired him as well. It was like a double penalty.
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
For that head clash, Lynn, I think like Klein said play on, and then it went up to the bunker, which in my opinion, made it even worse because it wasn't a heat of the moment call. They're sitting there watching it all in slow motion. Surely they've got to remember, well, last week the same thing happened and there was no call, right? In this scenario, as Boldo said, Hughes was jumping. He basically landed on Trindle's head. Like sure, Trindle ran up with a lot of speed, but Trindle had his feet planted and Hughes came down and created that head clash.
Which is very similar to last week because you have to jump to have a head clash with Tom. It's impossible not to. He's
Correct.
6'8", right?
Correct. If you had to
And
pick
as a
the
result of
two,
that,
last week
we
was
lost
way
him.
worse.
We lost him this week as a result of that. And there was Hughes just got up and laughed and walked off. So
Yep.
Do you know what happened with
oh,
Billy
he did have a
Burns?
bloody mouth Hughes though, didn't he?
Oh, that's right, because he pointed to it. You're right. He split his lip. What happened with Billy and all the bleeding? I never got to the bottom of that either.
He copped a boot to the face.
Right. Well, that'll do it.
So yeah, in a tackle, I can't remember who it was. Apologies, but yeah, they sort of kicking away and they clipped his chin with their studs, which caused the bleeding. And then a little bit later on, he had a head clash with Kafusi, which sent him off for HIA.
Yeah. Which he passed. It was a cat too.
He passed, no problems.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they were my.
Hey, Lynn, in hindsight,
questions.
In hindsight, the Sharks' siege mentality, no one thinks we can win. I think the Sharks misplayed the media this week by building hype around them and drawing attention to us. And we said it to Daniel from the Stormcast. The Storm just didn't draw attention to themselves and put that pressure on them. Do you think the Sharks played it incorrectly in the media? What should they have done?
I'm a big fan of lie low and keep quiet. So not incorrectly, but I think it would have been a better idea just to concentrate on the game and not worry about playing the media game.
Yeah, I think
it's hard though. Once you get that ball rolling, right? We used it for the first two matches. You can't then turn around to the match against the Storm and have the press there asking questions directly related to, hey, have you got that respect now? And just say no comment. So you've either got to run
but you can
say,
but you can downplay it. You can downplay. Yeah, I hope so. I don't know. We're just focusing on the Storm match.
Cat's out of the bag.
There's your response there. Yeah.
Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, I'm just better at deflecting and bullshitting people, Franko, than you. I just would back myself to be able to weasel my way out of that problem. Whereas you're just the honesty broker of the ET stand, Franko. That's why.
You just keep digging that hole, mate. You just keep digging.
Oh, we all know. We all certainly know that. All right, Lynn. Anything else for us? Well, we got to hit through the rest of these comments. Any other comments?
No, I get through all the comments. I just thought I'd check in and make sure you were okay because you disappeared real fast.
Thanks.
I hung around and had a chat to the boys, and they were a bit down. They weren't happy to come over and talk to us, but they did. And I saw
as in the players.
The players, yeah, and they a couple of them.
So what happened post match?
Yeah,
what happened post match?
They all a lot of them came over, not all of them, and we applauded as they came towards the bays. And Nico looked like he had a tear in his eye almost at that point. And they climbed over the TV screens and got in close to us all. I got a nice sweaty hug from Toby. A few of them gave their boots to the kids. There was a lot of signing autographs and stuff, and they seemed grateful. And a lot of them said, "Thanks for coming down, and we really appreciate your support," and blah blah blah. So that was nice, but they were clearly devastated.
Yeah, they would have been.
Yeah, and the Storm did a lap,
I remember,
and we politely clapped, and that was about it.
Oh, really? Well, I wasn't hanging around. I had to get back and start the podcast, Lynn, as quickly as I could.
I understood that. When you disappeared quick, I figured that's where you'd gone. Luce was having a little blow up the back, so I gave him a hug and calmed him down. And everybody else just made their way.
They were, so what is it? Luca and Luce, the Victorian Supporters Club, and everyone that's associated with them. That was really well done from them. I thought, hats off to you fellas, and I think they enjoyed their moment in the sun, and they reminded us what it's like to do a really good Sharks away moment at black, white, and blue lemonade. So congratulations to those guys. Great bunch of fellas. And Lynn, just want to say thank you for your friendship and inclusion on the show and the way you dial in. You're an absolute legend, and we love having you dial in and part of the show. Just
Thank
a
you very
shame
much.
that
Thank
we
you for having me.
don't get the grand final show that we wanted.
We can't talk
do
all
that
night next week now.
We can't talk all night next week. But anyway, thanks for coming on, Legend. It's good to see you, and have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
Bye,
See
Lynn.
you guys. Bye.
See you, mate. That was Lynn, the legend.
Yeah, very good. Fitzy in the presser has come out and just said there were way too many penalties. He's not blaming the ref for the loss. He says Melbourne was the better team, but there were way too many penalties, too much stop-start nature, something that we couldn't have prepared for because it's not what you're used to in a finals match, and certainly doesn't think the fans want to see that type of game ref that way.
There was a guy in the stands, Franko, that was tearing Klein in the touchies. An absolute new one about that. He was very funny. I think he was sitting back to my right, one row behind me. He was particularly learned rugby league fan, so he wasn't wrong.
Yeah. One of the funny things I would like to have mentioned is there was a kick put through near the posts where Kennedy jumped up to gather it to try and score a try, and ended up knocking it over the dead ball.
Yes. About 20 minutes
Dunno.
ago.
Yeah, about that. I don't know how it looked on the big screen at the ground or your vantage point, and some people in the comments might disagree with me. But I feel it was unfortunate because obviously Ramian didn't know how it would have played out, but I have the strong opinion that Kennedy would have regathered that ball, but because of Ramian jumping to also try and catch the ball, him bumping into, I can't remember who it was. No, he bumped into the Storm player who then bumped into Kennedy, and knocked the ball out of his hands. I reckon
it was close.
I reckon if Ramian's not jumping for that one, Kennedy regathers that ball and scores. That's just one of those unfortunate things. But yeah, all right.
It's one of those bounce of the balls, isn't it? Let's hit through these comments. Thank you, everyone, for commenting on the show and keeping us company. This is
all right.
Therapy debrief, really, isn't it?
We'll try and rip through a few pretty quickly here. Jimmy says, in relation to 2.0's comment earlier, hard agree. Kennedy is a massive defensive liability, and Ramian can be at times too, whenever he decides to shoot out of the line. He also mentions that Dykes is gone. Anyway, hasn't he? Yeah, Dykes has gone to the Bulldogs. Correct.
Bulldogs.
Yeah. Okay. And Mike Knight says, "G'day, Mike Knight. Despite there being some terrible ref calls, the Storm were the better side. They were the better side, which is tough to admit, but it's true." There's a few more comments about, moving on from Kennedy. World of Cricket channel says we need to move on from Kennedy to win a premiership. It's certainly interesting after a loss like this. Everyone wants to clean house. I don't think Kennedy is the only one I would be getting rid of for a premiership potential. Mr. Dave says Kennedy has those game-winning games though, but his defense was rubbish. And you know what? His defense has been questionable all season, especially in back play. In the line, I think he's all right, and under the high ball, he's almost peerless. Mr. Dave says Brayley had a bad first half. Passes weren't great this game. Yeah, obviously he had that one bad pass, Mr. Dave. But it's worth commenting, I think, for all the talk.
Well, he even had a bad pass for one of the tries, Franko.
Yeah.
One of the tries is a pass that went along the ground that they recovered that actually created it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have the best game, Brayley, did he?
Yeah. But I think for what it's worth, all the talk about our forwards and our bench and dominating the ruck and getting down the middle of the field, the Melbourne engine room, their props really took it to us. They seemed to get over the advantage line a lot more than we did. Our players seemed to just get stopped as if they were hitting a brick wall. I think it might have been a bit of a shock to the system and not something we expected, especially I didn't expect it. Benny Turner says what we're talking about earlier. The window is open. We need a fullback like Pappenhausen. Now, we don't have the money for a fullback like Pappenhausen, but yeah, unearth someone special would be.
Here's one
would
for
be
you,
really
Franco.
good.
If I could give Nico Hines his pace back, would you drop Kennedy and play Atkinson and Trindle with Hines as the fullback? If Hines had his pace back.
I mean, it'd solve a few problems, wouldn't it?
It would solve a few problems, yes. It's not going to happen, guys. We're not suggesting Nico Hines is always going to be the halfback.
Peter Bissett says Kennedy needs to go. Jesse needs to go too. Williams 2.0 is spot on.
2.0's never been agreed with so much, and he's not even dialed in.
He's taken the easy route though. Easy pot
He
shots.
has.
Jimmy
Yeah.
Russell says we did sign a young bloke during the signing window who can play fullback, centre, and wing. Maybe he's the replacement for Kennedy. No, Jimmy, you're right. We did. He's a bit young, mate. We've got a couple of guys in front of him. I can't recall the name. I apologise.
Get it in the comments,
yeah,
Jimmy.
we did. But no, we've got probably at the moment is Ison is. If we were to lose Kennedy, Ison's probably our number one pick, assuming he comes back from his ACL without a problem. The other one, as I mentioned, was probably Taj Ford. Bit of, not really intended to be a fullback, but hey, he's doing a good job there when asked. Other than that, I think we're probably looking to hit the market for a cheap alternative or another rookie that they can battle it out through the off season. Mr. Dave says Hiroti is a gamble. No, I think Hiroti has proven himself, especially in that centre role. Maybe.
No, Roddy's a backup, Franco.
No, I'm just saying if I had my choice, I'd have him over Ramian right now. As of today, clickbait me.
No, I'd still choose Ramian over Roddy. Ramian's better than a Roddy.
No, not.
Get it in the
not
comments. Is
attack,
Ramian better than
not
a
in
Roddy?
attack.
Fair enough.
I'd almost say that
he's Ramian. No, Franco. Ramian is now Pomeroy 2.0. He's much maligned, drives you insane, and then every so often he just does something really good and makes you love him again. And then you like him for all of like one half of football, and then the next match you're like, yeah, that's right, buddy. Ramian's Pomeroy again. It's the ghost of Pom, but in a different way. Ramian.
Well, look at this, Mr. Dave agrees with you. We aren't better with Hiroti instead of Ramian. Yeah, I don't like. We can. This sounds very much like an off-season chat.
It's an off-season chat, that one, isn't it?
Peter Bissett, though, he comes in. He says, "Thanks for the year, boys." Thanks very much, Pete. Really good, mate. Really appreciate it. You've got had some good comments through the season, mate. Awesome stuff, buddy. Then we've got a bit of argument about shuffling around the centres and wingers between Stone Street, Katoa, Mulatalo. Who should go where? Should some of them be a centre or
maybe Ronaldo should play centre, Franco?
Well, yeah. Look, here's another controversial take. I think that Ronaldo should play centre coming out of our half with Iro on the wing. I think they should swap depending on where they are in the field.
Well, Kale Iro played wing with Talakai for 5 minutes in a match last season. Was absolutely brilliant. Talakai was good and Iro was good. They absolutely blitzed them for like 5 minutes until I can't remember which match it was. So maybe someone in the comments could certainly help us. But Kale Iro is very good. So we'll guys, in the off season we'll do a traffic light view of the squad, and we'll do green, yellow, right, yellow, red. Should they go? Should they stay? Or are we on the fence about them?
Yeah. So, look at this. Who's this random person? CK, without Pap's high tackle, Nickera scores 100%. Only Munster there, and he had no hands on the ball.
That's not. No, it's not. I think that's right.
I don't
it's a tough
think
thing
that's,
to get, but
don't know. He had his whole body in front of the ball. Look,
But he still hit
if
him high.
you're
The
looking
thing
for
is, if you hit a guy high and you're going to try and score the try, you've just been belted in the head. So how the hell are you meant to score?
yeah, but I think if you're gunning for a penalty try, the fact that there was another player in the
Close
vicinity
by, it's
maybe affecting a tackle, it certainly opens a can of worms to start going down that path. I kind of feel as though Nickera was surprised at the speed of the cover defense coming across. I felt he should have, like, the look on his face was as though he'd already scored the try when he got past the defensive line.
He thought he was going to score.
He thought he was going to score, and then they obviously came across, and we know what happened there. He should have looked to change his line. He should have maybe tried to step, or maybe dived early. There was a few things I felt he could have done there. We all know he is one of the best at what he does in terms of running those lines. So who am I to say he should have done something differently? But for all money, it looked as though he thought he'd scored the moment he broke through that line. And then, Paps and Munster came across quicker than he thought he thought they would, which was tough.
Franko, I'll tell you a funny story from the match. Some of the and guys, give us a follow on Instagram if you want to follow some of the pre-match shenanigans, but certainly the funniest pre-match shenanigan. So I was interviewing this lovely family, and the daughter. I was interviewing the daughter. So I said, "Oh yeah, how long have you supported the Sharks, and where do you sit?" And her brother just chimes in from behind her and says, "We sit 2 rows behind you in the ET stand, you dickhead." It was so funny. And I'm just like, okay, cool. I'm like, I guess you do sit behind us in the ET stand. So anyway, that's not where are you sitting tonight. I said, I think we're up the back somewhere. I'm like, we're in row C. So anyway, I'm looking at my tickets as we're walking in the ground. I'm like, we're sitting in row C. And lo and behold, we sat right next to it, like literally me and him. So Aaron and Kayla, shout out to you two absolute legends. It was absolutely hilarious. I love it when anyone calls me a dickhead because they're 100% right. It was so funny. It's like, we sit behind you. I'm like, oh, whoops. So anyway, but other than that, that was probably the highlight of the carry on at the Sharks match. All right, let's keep hitting through some of these comments, guys.
Brad Lewis says, different referee, different result. Klein just allows for slow play the ball, which just lets them smother us. We were playing catch up all night, never seemed in it. Yeah. Even though he blew the P out of the whistle, the ruck speed was terrible. But we should have expected that, right? That is the Melbourne Storm's bread and butter. Brad Lewis here says, thanks, Boldo, for the member code that allowed me to get tickets tonight. Legend.
Happy to help, Brad. I just would have loved it when you'd have used Franko's code next week and Franko wouldn't have been able to buy grand final tickets. God, I would have been in trouble if someone had done that. But we always believe in the kindness of strangers, and so I just wasn't having it that Sharks fans were not able to get on. So I must have helped at least 10 Sharks fans during the week, Franko. It was a nice, good time. So pleasure to help you, mate, and hopefully we'll see you at another Sharks game soon.
James Draper Donovan says, I'm really disappointed with the loss, but I'm so glad I found this club and sport. I wasn't around last year, but my friends who've watched the sport said this was a good step forward by the Sharkies. Yeah, welcome, JD, mate. If you're the JD I think you are, that we've seen you commenting in the Discord, welcome to the Sharks family, buddy. I'd say it's a step up from last year. If only the momentum and the way we carried ourselves, because we ended up in the same result, right? Preliminary final 2 years in a row. If you just look at on paper, we didn't do any better than last year. But I feel as though we carried ourselves with a little bit higher, heads held high. Still stings though.
I've got another idea for us, Franko, in the off season. JD, we're going to do an episode in the off season. 10 Sharks matches. All Sharks fans should go rewatch during the off season. We'll do top 10. We'll do our top 10 of that one, Franko. That'll be good fun. So we'll do that for you, JD.
Stuart Campbell's going to rewatch this one. He's going to rewatch this one. He says, um, everyone will have people to blame. We lost to 2 times factor plays, which we couldn't match. My biggest question is why Hughes got a penalty and didn't get a HIA. Yeah, I guess
Because he got hit in the jaw, I guess.
it was jaw. He didn't stay down. Yeah, I think it's fine. I do agree though. That's certainly a grey area, Stuart, with the whole scenario of whether or not players go for a HIA in that scenario. James Munro, super chat.
Jimmy, you can join the show if you like, Jimmy.
11.99 euros. Very well done. Thank you, James. Says, one upside is we weren't winning the grand final anyhow. Panthers will win it again and suck the life out of something competitions. It was wide open until they woke up. Anyhow, thanks for the podcast. Suck the life out of the entire. Do you reckon that's entire?
Yeah, suck the life out of the entire. That's certainly true. Oh, Jimmy.
Yeah, geez. I wouldn't be confident against going up against Penrith in the grand final, that's for sure.
Yeah, I had envisioned, Franko, given that we'd won in 2016, I was really looking forward to just the prospect of being in it. And I think that, the Sharks getting into the finals and people painting their houses black, white, and blue, and meeting Sharks fans and hearing their stories, and meeting Donovan, the new legend who likes the Sharks, and stories of that, and ex-players, and the cheerleaders. Oh goodness me! As a story, I got the cheerleaders for you, Franko. You finally got one. This is absolutely brilliant. So if anyone who follows their Instagram knows that I always word up the cheerleaders and get them to give Franko a hard time, but they got me this time, and they said, "No," I said, "Oh, who's your favourite?" They said, "Oh, we love Franko. Franko's like such a legend." And so you finally got one. You finally, they just decided they just had enough. So that was particularly good fun. So check that out on the Instagram. But back to James Munro. Yeah, goodness me, the Panthers winning 5 in a row. I remember thinking, geez, I wonder if rugby league got boring when the St. George team won 11 in a row. And the Panthers winning 5. I think now I want the Broncos to win the premiership of the 3 teams. I don't want the Panthers to win. Certainly don't want the Melbourne Storm to win. So I think I take a Broncos victory, but I also am not a massive fan of Michael Maguire. So goodness me, I just hope there's a salary cap breach and they all 3 get disqualified and we can say that we were the real champs, Franko.
Oh, I couldn't stomach the Broncos, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't do the Broncos. If I've got to pick, yeah, it'd definitely be one of the Panthers or the Storm. The only thing that sucks about saying the Storm win or the Broncos win is they will be heralded for many a year as the team that
stopped the streak.
The streak. I think that would have been, again,
right,
James, you're right, mate. I'm sure we wouldn't have won, but if that was us,
it would have been great.
Wouldn't that have been great? Wouldn't that have been absolutely epic? Like, that's the year that someone beats Penrith in the grand final. It might be this year, but the year that it happens, that's the cherry on top. It's not just about winning the grand final.
Who beat St. George in year 12, Franko?
Who beat St. George in year 12?
Is it not our year 12? But in the year they were going for their 12th premiership.
I don't know, but I know that the Sharks.
I don't think they made the grand final, but the Sharks existed. Certainly got it.
The Sharks existed. We are the reason why they stopped winning.
That's true. Well, Jimmy, that is certainly one upside, and I guess, Jimmy, there's another upside for you, buddy, is that you don't have to burn all of your frequent flyer points coming down under to Australia to see a Shark grand final loss. So. I'm sure you checked it out and were working out and doing the sums and working out if you could get here. So, mate, and thank you for your input on the show too, Jimmy, this season. it's been great having you on the debrief those couple of times and filling in. So that was great.
He also says, terrible spelling. Last time I do a super chat, mate, you can do many super chats with terrible spelling. It doesn't bother us. Thank you once again.
Franko, can we cover the most recent comment from Scotty McLaren before we go back up to the top?
Of course. Scotty McLaren says, still don't understand the Trindle obstruction penalty. He surrendered before the Storm players hit the ground.
How many times do you see them just not given as a penalty? And then he gave himself up. He derived no benefit or advantage from the penalty. It was a momentum swinger, that's for sure, Franko.
Yeah, I'm of two minds. I'm of two minds because Trindle was of two minds. He himself didn't surrender and hit the deck until Klein blew the whistle. So I think
he was surrendering. He was surrendering. He knew straight away.
He was surrendering, but it was very slow. He was considering options. He was having to think about what
Really?
he can do. It was slow.
That's not how it looked at the game. At the game, it looked like he's like, "Oh no, I better go down."
I will gladly go and rewatch this, and if I've got this wrong, that's quite
gladly
possible.
Go rewatch it. I'd rather you can just be right, Franko. I don't need to rewatch it.
There was an obstruction already, and he kept going, and then a second obstruction, and that's when he sort of stopped and was like, all right, I'm going down, and then Klein blew the penalty. So he himself didn't get past the advantage line. He didn't pass or kick or anything like that. He was there to be tackled without moving forward. But I'm pretty sure there were two times in that play that there was an obstruction.
It was a calamity play, that one.
It was awful.
It was awful.
And I'm pretty sure
like it was a worse version of one of those calamity style shepherds than you typically ever see. But I still thought it was a bit tough.
It was tough. Like I don't think anyone would have argued if
it was just
said, tackled there, fifth tackle, play on.
Next play
I don't think anyone
no one argues.
I don't think anyone would have argued if that had happened. I think we're all on the same page as that, and even a Melbourne supporter would say the same thing, right? It was a dud call, but I don't think it was the same as we've seen in many of the other times where it's obstruction. I'm just going straight to the ground. There was a few steps to the left. There was, like I said, a previous obstruction that was, we'll quote, ignored, and then a second one, and that's then when Trindle sort of stopped and went down. James Draper Donovan confirmed that yes, that was him in the Discord. So I'm glad I got that right. World of Cricket says Ueli is overrated and he needs to look elsewhere. So if the rumors,
he's not overrated. The Sharks fans are out on him. The Sharks fans are out on him now. I don't think he is overrated, but he's overpaid.
Yeah.
He's probably overpaid.
If the rumors are to be believed, yes, he's being shopped around.
Yes.
So he's on his way out. All right.
Can I get
Adam
some love
Field
for Talakai? Oh, yeah, go. I was just going to say, Franko, can I get some love for Talakai in the chat? Come on, guys. He was the best player on the field tonight for the Sharks, wasn't he?
Jimmy Russell says Talakai is an absolute machine. Always goes hard and always puts in 110%. Yeah, everyone loves Talakai. Adam Field says, I think as an aggregate, this team can win a premiership. Past few games have shown that. It's now on our top tier players to provide some magic when we need it for us to go all the way. We have beaten Melbourne this year, so we know we can beat them. We beat the minor premiers. We beat the Roosters.
Yeah, but the minor premiers don't have the elite level player either. Like I said it the other day, Sometimes we just play the Roosters and Tedesco just beats us. Reece Walsh single-handedly beat the Canberra Raiders the other day. Like, we don't have a player that can just beat the top teams like Wally Lewis in the State of Origin. That's why Wally Lewis was the best player. So, yeah, what can you say?
Yep. Jimmy Russell here says, honestly, would love to see Nickera and Burns as our starting second row. Burns has played out of his skin the last couple of weeks, and Nickera is the best line-running second rower in the game right now. Not getting any arguments from me, Russell.
Nickera was the best line-running second rower 10 weeks ago. He's a little...
No, he was carrying an injury. He was carrying an injury since he's come back from...
He'll be back to that again next year.
Yep, I agree with you, Jimmy. I know it's hard on Wilton, and I know a lot of fans won't want to see something like that, but I actually think that Burns is better on Wilton's edge than he is on Nickera's edge. So I think he gets better by shifting across, and we all know what Nickera can do on his day. I think that's certainly something worth considering. See how we go. Unfortunately, whether it's still true, as it was shown back when Wade Graham was still in the team, Wilton off the bench doesn't provide much impact. He's one of those 80-minute players that gets a feel for the game.
Nickera is of the three of them. Nickera is the best impact player on the bench, and
agreed.
Most. Oh, that's also because he's the best player.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty from North Korea's here, Franco.
Oh, we're going to let him in?
Scotty. We'll let you in about 90 seconds. We'll hit through a few more comments, Franco.
All right, a couple more comments. World of Cricket says, Ronaldo to fullback, Stone Street comes in on the wing. That will give us way more firepower. Maybe. I mean, maybe. Ronaldo is certainly a talented player.
He doesn't have the passing. He doesn't have the passing though for fullback, does he?
Maybe he can learn it. I think he's got a better passing game than our centers. So, there's that. But also,
what do you mean? Ramian's such a good passer of the football, Franco.
I think it might nullify his ability to take the hard runs from our end, though. It's not really the role of a fullback. There's nothing to say you can't, I suppose, but the fullback does so much other stuff. You don't really want him doing the hard runs out of our end, and Stone Street doesn't do that as well as Ronaldo. So we could lose that in that shuffle. But still, not a bad shout out. Certainly got the height, certainly got the speed. Big Rig says, Sharks will be back. Couple of bad calls, swung the momentum at the wrong end of the field. Unreal defense against a fully rested Storm. Yeah, Big Rig, mate. Not something that should be forgotten. Some people might not agree with you, but yeah, our defense, especially that second half, was really good.
Franco,
again, just to iterate.
It shows how important that Dragons loss was.
Yeah,
it shows how important that Dragons loss was, because if we're fourth against first Canberra Raiders, and to your point, I would have been more confident in week 1 than week 2 beating the Raiders. Then we get the week off, and it just changes the equation of coming down here. Also, I think that the Saturday to Friday, the 6 days, wasn't long enough for us. I thought that was tough on us. And that's another thing where the NRL just gets us.
You know what that does, though, Boldo?
Mm.
That means this weekend we're playing Penrith.
Yeah, we could beat Penrith.
Big call.
I would rather have played Penrith in Sydney than play Melbourne Storm in Melbourne, even given that. Mm-hmm. Let's get Scotty in and ask him what he thinks.
One last one from a different Scott. Scott Bernie says, I thought Burns was good again tonight. I want him in the starting side next season until he gives us a reason not to. Yeah, I think Burns is certainly becoming a cult favourite, and making sure that he is someone that's stand up and accounted for. He's really good. All right, Scotty, mate. Welcome aboard, mate.
Hey, boys.
How are you? How'd you survive that one?
It was pretty disappointing to watch. I I thought our middle defense was really pathetic throughout the game. Melbourne Storm just seemed to get up over the top of us every set of 6, charging over us. And in the first half, we were caught out with some lazy defense.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, like the Hughes try, Wilton was wrong-footed. Colhoun was brushed off. That looked
That was
soft.
a bad try. That
yeah.
was a bad try.
It was off the back of an offload, so it was a broken line. Yeah, it didn't look good at all, did it? But that said, that's those X factor players. They're those guys that stand up in the big games that we've had some commenters and even Boldo sort of saying we miss that kind of player, someone that can make something from nothing. I mean, Munster himself made nearly 200 meters, and he's a half, so that's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty tough. Like watching that try by Hughes, and Wilton's wrong-footed before Hughes even moves. Like it was literally going the wrong way. And Colhoun with that miss, but yeah, the defense in that first half was a little bit lacking, especially after we'd score a try and get back into the game. We would give away a penalty, Melbourne go down and score. So each time we would get that momentum back, we're giving it away too easily. So there was a few calls against us in that first half, as I pointed out, that obstruction call. I don't know
That was tough.
what previous obstruction there was, because the only one I saw was when Trindle failed to pass to Euro and ran behind the second row, and he's taking out the players. But Trindle stops, and then
He gives himself up. Yeah,
he gives himself up, and every other time, like, that's let go because he's surrendered. The other one is the penalty against Trindle in the second half with the high contact on Hughes. Like, Hughes jumped into him, and it's a head clash, and it's a penalty this week. Last week it wasn't. Like,
yeah.
What changed in 7? What changed in 6 days? It's just beyond me.
The referee hierarchy, Scotty.
That's true.
We're just lower on it.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I guess Canberra is lower on it as well because they got away with it. But
well, that would make them higher.
Yeah, same referee from last week, so
they
was a different referee this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, different referee for us. Yeah.
Was it Atkins last week?
Yeah, it was a different referee. It was Atkins last week. I think Klein's
That
not
said,
a good
you
referee.
could say they got
for the
nutted in
Sharks.
calls against the Broncos. So
Yeah. But it was better performance in the second half defensively. It was just in a few moments our attack just didn't really work. I think Nikora should definitely try and put a sidestep in when he gets through instead of trying to run over the fullback, because I think that's the second or third time this year he's been held up and hit with a high tackle. So if he puts a step in, he scores. But yeah, at the end of the day, no one really expected us to get this far, especially with some of the performances we had mid-year.
It was looking bad for a while.
It was looking bad.
Given how we performed last year, though, Scotty, I was expecting us. My expectation was we have actually hit my expectation. I thought we would make a prelim final again and put in a better performance than we did against Penrith. And that is exactly what has happened.
Well, it is, because at the end of the day, we kept Melbourne to less points than what Penrith got against us, and we scored more. So there's a few positives to take out, looking at what's going to happen with the team next year. It's pretty much going to be the same team depending on Kennedy. I
guess Kennedy's the only one who's coming out of that team, really, by the looks, isn't it?
Yeah. I disagree with the comment about putting Mulatalo to fullback. I think if we do that, we lose about 15 tries per year. So
what? Why? Because he doesn't score 7 as many and he lets in 8.
Pretty much, but no, because he's not going to be on that wing.
He's good on the
as you
wing.
pointed out, he doesn't have that passing game, and it will
He
take
doesn't.
him a long time to learn. And he's on the wing to score tries and catch bombs.
Both
So
of which
putting
he's very good
back,
at.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
Also,
actually, Scotty, I'm just going to say you've convinced me because don't weaken one position to try and strengthen another. That creates a problem for us on the wing. I think actually Ronnie could be okay at centre, but I don't think he has the pass. It'll be enough if he doesn't have the passing game. So we'll have another centre that can't pass the ball, Franco.
Hirotti's already shown that he can pass. It's fine.
he can pass and he can
Those
kick.
Talakai.
Surprising.
So is Talakai.
Yeah, but Talakai's not a centre player. Like, if you
He's
put him
not.
in
We
centre,
know.
yeah, the impact goes from Talakai. If he's not coming off the bench, we've got Ison there coming back next year. I still not 100% sold on him. I know the guys from Fins Up, Dan and Terry are sold on him. I think he's a little bit slower than Kennedy, and just the height of him as well. I personally put Hirotti back there, trial him out, give him first go if Kennedy goes.
No, we're not going to win a premiership with Hiroti at fullback, Scotty.
Yeah, I think Hirotti is definitely a utility player that can cover multiple positions, has
I think
demonstrated in
you
New
take
South
a
Wales
big
Cup.
swing, Franco.
But
You take a big swing.
if he's getting a
Yeah,
spot,
Mason, let's go.
it's centre. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should take a big swing. Let's go, Liam Ison.
So
Oh,
yeah, Ison
Scotty's
as a player. Scotty's just lost his internet, or he really didn't like your answer. We'll put you back in the green room, Scotty. If we see you back, we'll bring you back in, mate.
Or Scotty's been booted out by North Korea.
Yeah. So I guess Ison is certainly one of those players. It would be like a Jai Gray from Rabbitohs, a little live wire, Energizer Bunny. That's the
Take
kind
Jai
of.
Gray. He was rumoured for a while, Franco.
He was, but I don't think that's on the cards anymore. And at this stage, I also don't think we could afford him. If we can't afford Kennedy, I don't think we can afford him.
Yeah, probably not. Can I just respond to this one? Oh, yeah, go.
Disappointed, but confident for next year. So there you go. All right. What did you want to say, mate?
I was more confident about improvement last year to this year. I think it'll be tough for us to improve much on this year. We'll see how the off season goes and see how the player recruitment goes. And I know there's only 2 matches to go this season, but they're the 2 most important matches. So it will determine a lot for us. Let's see how we go. I think the new assistant coach will also be important for us too. I just want to respond to this one from World of Cricket. Boldo, are you recording on a camera from 1978 tonight? I'm down in Melbourne. I'm tethering off my phone, mate. So that's why Franco's running the ship. I can't see half of the comments, and I can't change the layouts, and I can't do anything. So I'm doing my best to just sit here with you guys.
I think, yeah, obviously it was easier to pinpoint where improvement comes from because we'd signed AFB, and he was, someone we're expecting to come in and change up the team and give us that oomph that we felt we were missing. Turns out adding AFB got us pretty much the same result. Bit harsh to say that, but
I met AFB's mother today, Franco.
I'm already on the record for saying we're a little bit better, but ultimately, on paper, we ended up in the prelim.
Yeah, but we performed better in that prelim.
Now,
we have more of a chance. I met AFB's mother today, Franco. She was a lovely lady down there at Pink Lemonade.
Did she get angry at you for not putting him higher up on the tiers?
No, she didn't. She didn't comment. Didn't provide comment on the tiers. No.
There you go. Look, I think there was it a couple of years ago? It's easy to say we've had a pretty consistent team. There was a couple of years ago where everyone was a bit down on how we performed, how we bowed out of the series. and no new players coming in. No one thought we would do any good the following year, but we turned it around and we got in the top 4. So that without turnover, there can be improvements. We can take it to that next level. It's just comes down to hard work, right? Comes down to that off season, trying to get those incremental
Sharks,
improvements.
for us to win, Franco, we've got to be a top 4 team, and we need 3 Sydney matches, or we need the Sydney prelim, is what we need.
Yeah.
Because it's just so hard to win 3 matches in a row. Like the emotional toll of that Raiders match and that win was big. The Roosters match was big. Those are two massive wins for the Sharks. Whereas last season we were top 4 and we only needed 1 win to make the
Yeah.
So it was a bit different.
Harkening back to earlier, Rob says, did not know you had such an opinion on the conference system, Boldo. Thanks, that was insightful. Sess says...
See, Franco, when you get to be the host and you ask me questions, I actually get to provide answers for once. So I can actually be quite an insightful guest. This is quite fun. Go on.
There's a reason why you ask the questions and not give the answers.
That's true.
Sess says the game of moments. If Nickera doesn't cop that hit around the chin, he would have gone under Munster. Game on. Oh, well, bring on 2026.
Cecil, you're not the only one that have that opinion. That one's come up a lot. Chris Kelly said that he thought that it was a penalty try. So, yeah, if Britt Nickera scores that, it's game on. So...
Mr. Dave agrees with what I was saying a bit earlier, that we need to get fitter so that we can back up each other in those runs, especially when AFB has it and he can offload a lot. Rob also says we were poor in making it over the advantage line. Utakamato outplayed AFB by some distance. I kind of feel the same there, Rob. Their pack
that's true.
Outplayed ours. World of Cricket says Colquhoun was average tonight. I don't know if he was average, but he certainly wasn't the same standard the last couple of weeks. And then Scott says,
he wasn't great. He wasn't great, Colquhoun.
Our defense is clearly very good, but we don't attack teams with our defense like Penrith do. Improving our line speed, contact, and wrestle might be the key to getting over these great sides. It's a good shout out, Scotty. Wayne says, Franko can be serious about the ref. Klein made it look fair on paper, but the reality was we were dudded. Example, stops play when we have the ball to send Billy off. Jerome Hughes, blood bin, ? Yeah, look.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair, Wayne.
Don't argue with that, Rain. Like
Wayne,
I said,
there's a cloud over... No, Franco, there's a cloud over Klein. Every time he refs us, it's a different game, a different sport. It's just another interpretation. You're right. Why did Jerome Hughes have to go off with a blood bin? I think it was because he didn't have blood on his jumper, the way that our guy did.
Well, he also squirts a bit of water in his mouth, spits it out, and that was it. But they couldn't stop the bleeding for Billy Burns.
No.
But yeah, no. Look, I agree. I think that as far as the game is concerned, we didn't lose because some of those calls. Certainly some didn't go our way, but I think Melbourne got a few bad calls as well. What I think the impact was, and you mentioned it, Wayne, that it was very stop-start. There were a lot of penalties blown, and that's not the type of play or game we were prepared for. Scotty says that Hiroti is definitely better than Ramian at the moment.
Wouldn't be hard.
We've then got my top. He says to get to where we got to this season, it's been a good season and another improvement in the right direction. We are getting closer every year. We didn't nail the moments tonight. Yeah, not bad. My top.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think that is.
Can I just say, Franco, the comments have been really on point tonight. Well done, team.
Scotty confirms that these crazy North Koreans are doing something again. He got a public safety alert. So very good. You just sit back, Scotty, and put on K-pop Demon Hunters, and watch that. Now, we've caught up, Boldo. We've caught up to all the comments.
Oh, have we?
We have.
Very good.
So that was good. We skipped a few there.
What about getting David Fafita back from the Titans?
Different David. Yep. Well done, Jack.
Yep.
Look, reunification says a change of fullback would be refreshing. Yeah, look, I think that is probably where everyone is looking, as we kind of joked about at the top of the call, that he's technically now off contract. He was technically now unemployed, right? He's been off contract since November 1st last year. He's still employed until November 1st, but we're not playing. We're not
He's
really
free
training.
He's free to sign with anyone.
Yep. So we'll see what happens there. Watch this space. It might be a game of chicken where we've offered, he can accept it or not, and if he doesn't get any other offers, he can come back and accept what we've put forward. Maybe something that's there. Scotty says he watched the first 10 minutes of K-pop and got bored.
Frank, I'll tell you some other stories from tonight from being down at the game. So the first one was, and guys, if you don't follow us on Instagram, go and do it so that you can see some of our carry on when we get to the matches. So I did a brilliant interview with Dino Mezzatesta on Instagram, and I had the microphones and the, all the stuff going, and he gave me these exclusives and all this sort of stuff, and worked out I hadn't turned the microphone on, so the thing's got no sound. So I got the exclusives on all the plans that the Sharks had and what they were going to do, and all that sort of fun stuff. Though that was wasted. We saw Dylan Wright, so it was terrific to see Dylan. He's as passionate about the Sharks as he's ever been. So he actually approached me, so that was a nice moment. Hey, Boldo, how are you going? So I think he just remembered me as that bullfed from the Hall of Fame. We caught up with Tommy Hazelton pre-match, and he seemed in pretty good form and quite healthy. So that was nice to see. And then overall, just reiterating, shout out to Luca and Losh, the Victorian Supporters Club's guys. Just an absolute brilliant job. And I met a whole bunch of people who approached me and said, yeah, great work on the podcast. Love what you guys do and keep it up. So that was very moving. And it's just a bummer that we don't get to go on the next week. So that'd be that. Franko, do you want to do your 3, 2, 1s, or do you want me to go first? I think I know who mine are.
All right. If you've got them, then you go for it.
All right. I'm going to give, I find the 1 point tonight a little bit difficult to give, because I'm not sure where the player's going to come from. But I thought, whilst not having a brilliant night by any means, I thought Ronaldo was pretty solid. I'm going to go 2 points to Sione Katoa, a clear 2 points. Those tries and those finishing were absolutely brilliant, and proven again that he can finish in the absolute biggest games for the Sharks. And they were some 2 brilliant tries. And I have 3 points for Sifa Talakai. He turned the game again and got us back in it the same way that he always does. And he was very, very good. So, yeah, my 3 points are for Sifa Talakai tonight. And it's sad that we don't have next week to look forward to. Franko, here's yours. So, do you agree with mine? Do you think I've got it wrong there?
I kind of do.
All right, go on.
Look, I'm gonna say that. Look, I'm partial to Talakai. Sure, I'll give him 1 point. While he was impactful, I don't think he was typical Talakai standout. I think, as you mentioned yourself earlier, basically the whole team was a 7.5 out of 10, right? Yeah. We didn't really have that standout player, get on my shoulders, boys, I'll carry you over the finish line.
Yeah.
And so for that, I can't really for his involvement, I just think it was too little for what we needed. We needed a little bit more from him. Not that he wasn't giving it, because as we've just said, he's 110%. He absolutely changed momentum for a period there.
Yeah.
I would give 2 points to Iro. I think
He was pretty good.
Yeah,
He was
look, I think he could have been better. I think there are, I'm not joking when I say that Ronaldo passes better than both of our centers. Iro is very much a run first mentality. I would like to see him give the ball to Ronaldo a little bit more often. There was a couple of moments tonight where I feel that, I don't know if Ronaldo would have done much with it, but the line in front of him was disjointed. He had some space to work with, and Iro would just turn inside and head inward, and Ronaldo would be left out there catching a cold. I'd like to see a little bit more partnership between the two of them. But that said, Iro still over 200 meters, a whole heap of tackles. Scored that consolation try at the death.
Right at the end, which I didn't see.
Look, so he certainly put in the effort. So he gets my 2 points. And look, for no other reason than scoring 2 tries, although he still had a very good game outside of that, Katoa gets my 3 points. I was sure when he scored that try that he put the ball on the line or his hand on the line or something when he was diving for the corner.
I was confident of the game.
Try.
I was confident of the game.
It severely on the screen. It looked as though he'd got a bit too close to that line for comfort, and that's not the one where Coates. That's not the one where Coates sort of tackled him and tried to wrestle him over the line. I was quite confident there. That was very, very good contortionism from Katoa. But yeah, that's my 3-2-1.
Yeah, fair enough. Guys, we've been joined by YouTube royalty. So Door on Tour is a Nottingham Forest YouTuber who's been featured on Mr. Beast and goes to every single Nottingham Forest match, home and away. If you want to see me commentate or provide commentary on Big Ange with Nottingham Forest, you can see me on the Door on Tour channel in the rugby league off season. So g'day to you, Ben. Sadly, your mate Aussie Dave has not had a good result tonight, buddy. My team has bowed out of the NRL finals, which is a real bummer. So all steam ahead on Nottingham Forest for me now in the off season. I guess we'll go watch some NFL as well, Franko. You'll go watch some cricket. I don't know.
Still cheering on Piastri to try and get that title.
Well, I guess we are still cheering on Piastri. Piastri's going to win.
I hope so. And of course, cricket.
Here we go. Reviewnification says, thanks, guys, for having this channel delivered this season. We will defo be back next season. And Stephen Davis says, go Piastri. Yeah, Piastri looks pretty good. Well, look, we don't do much Formula One chat, but can I just say, Verstappen's just a whinge and biatch. Verstappen is worse than Mitchell Moses from the Parramatta Eels, I reckon, in the Formula One, don't you think, Franko?
No, he's just a perfectionist now. He's just above everyone else.
He's a whinging biatch. He's just bloody grumpy all the time. Are you a Verstappen guy?
No, I mean, look, he's very good at what he does. He's very good at what he does. So no, I'm not a Verstappen guy, but it's hard to argue talent. So he just drives a level above.
Verstappen is the Formula One Melbourne Penrith. Stephen Davis, I've turned into a Verstappen guy. Don't be a Verstappen guy. You got to be Oscar Piastri. He's the Aussie. We love that guy. And of course, our favorite international sportsman anyway has got to be Tyrese Proctor, doesn't it, Franko?
Does it?
I think so. He's a Sharks fan.
Okay, all right, we'll take that. I mean, we got to wait till the NBA season starts. We haven't seen him lace a boot up in anger yet, so at least not for the NBA.
What time's the NRLW match tomorrow, Franko? Is it tomorrow?
It is tomorrow. It is, and it is
4:45.
It is, no, 7:45, mate.
7:45. I'm back in Sydney tomorrow. It's such a bummer that match is in Gosford. If it was somewhere reasonable, I'd go and watch it, but I just can't be driving up to Gosford. So good luck, Sharkies girls. Hopefully you give us a reason to have a Tuesday night show and have something to crow about. So, all right, Franco, I think we're done, my good friend. I don't think we can go any
Brilliant.
further. Can I just
Yeah,
say,
I've
on a
tried.
personal level, Franco, this is our last episode of the season. Thank you for your efforts and contribution to the ET stand, and also thank you to Lats, Williams, and Kelly for their contributions during the season as well. Just absolute legends to be able to do this with you guys, and for everyone else who dials in, whether it be 2.0 or Scotty from Korea or James Munro or Steve Davis or Lynn and various other ones, and I can't quite remember all of you. Rob Valensky's a legend. It's great fun putting this show, so we'll certainly be back bigger than ever. If you have any ideas for us, in the off season, do get in touch. Stewie Campbell, we've still got to do that episode on the stadium and the ground. And we'll have a few fun things in the off season. If you've got any ideas or anything you'd like to see, Scotty McLaren, there we go. Don't forget Francis from Southside Physiotherapy. Yeah, we do love Francis's. Whenever he gets the model out, it's always good. And I want to say thank you to Nick Haywood from what is it? What's his jewelry shop called? God, I want him to say Haywood Jewelers is going to be sponsored in the show next season. Actually, that's right, Nick. I've got it on tape. So thanks to you as well, legend. And yeah, thanks again, Franco. You're an absolute legend. So it's been good fun. I will do an episode on Tuesday night to debrief with the other boys the season, and then we'll look to take a break at some stage to give ourselves a few weeks off. We'll work out exactly what that looks like, won't we, Franco? Get into the Discord channel, guys, if you want to chat to us in the off season as well. All of the Sharks news will be there.
We probably will have a couple of off-season videos. It must be said. This is definitely the last debrief
we'll have a few
video of the
off-season videos.
season. There might be a couple of Tuesday nighters ahead of us, or some special episodes. So keep an
top
eye
10.
out. Like and subscribe. Make sure you get notified for when those come out. That'd be really good. We'll also work out. I don't know who. Do you have a comment for tonight, mate?
Comment. I think. I don't know. Let's put.
Surely.
You know what? I'm gonna put all of the super chats in the draw to win, Franco.
Oh, okay. That's a big call. Done.
All of the super chats.
So one of our off-season videos, we'll put the names in the hat and we'll draw them out and announce the winner. So keep your eyes peeled if your name's in the hat.
We can probably do that on Tuesday night, Franco, can't we?
All right. Yep. Good.
We'll do it on Tuesday night. We'll draw the winner of the thing on Tuesday night. So we'll do that. We'll announce that at the start of the show, and then by the end of the show, we'll do that. So, all right, we're a bit down. Normally, I've got some sort of fun ending. We've got to go get some food. I'm hoping the Hungry Jacks is still open opposite the road. I don't know. The Shark stand still the pink lemonade? Probably not. I think I'm going to go to bed.
Very good, gang.
Well,
thank you very much again, Boldo. You've been awesome, buddy. Well done traveling. I couldn't go to Canberra or Melbourne. You flew the fag, so thanks for that.
I try.
And onwards and upwards for next season,
onwards
gang.
And upwards. See you guys.
Bye.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.